Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Today's video, I actually want to discuss having a rule-based P&L calendar and why this is so important to so many traders, but majority of traders do not have a system or a journal tracking system like this. And I think that is crucial to one of the reasons why so many traders fail. Like 90% of day traders fail either due to their system or strategy not working, or not keeping track of their emotions while they're live trading. They're not being present in the moment, and that's why it's very crucial to have something like a private trading journal, where not only do you journal and keep track of your trades that you're taking individually from a technical analysis perspective, but also keeping track of your emotions and whether or not you are sticking to your trading plan each and every single day. Because each and every single day that you're not sticking to your trading plan means each and every single day that you're basically not executing your system, strategy that you back tested properly. And if you're not executing a system or strategy that you back tested properly, that just means you're basically essentially wasting your time because you're trading something that's not genuine, right? Let's say you did a back testing on a strategy or trading system, right? Whoever the strategy you learn from, I don't care who you really learn from. It's up to you who you learn from, but make sure they're a credible source, right? First of all. And let's say they're a credible source, you back testing. Let's say you end up with like, let's say, all right, we'll just use my stats for now for my strategy. Let's say I end up with a 65% win rate at 3 to 4 risk reward average. With those stats, you should be very easily profitable, right? I can even pull up my website if you guys want. We can look into it real quick. With the 65, let's give benefit of doubt. Let's say 3 risk reward with my trading system that I back tested, right? And also it does perform like this live or very close to, just due to me being able to control my emotions while trading. Thus, I'm able to follow my plan almost perfectly every time and execute it whenever I see my setup and whenever price is telling me not to trade, or either based on market experience or based on filtering out bad trades. I can determine when to not trade and even increase my win rate if I really wanted to be more selective on trades. But nonetheless, you can see my expected value is 1.6 for a trading system with 65 at 3 risk reward. That is very good considering that break even is at 0. 0 is break even, and obviously you don't want to be trading a strategy anyway that's break even, right? You want something that's profitable or that's higher than 0, preferably something that's higher than 0.40 is my recommendation, right? Trading a batch system with a win rate of 70% risk reward 1-to-1 is profitable. That's a 0.40 expected value, and I think that should be the baseline for most strategies or systems. You ideally want a strategy system that is at least 0.40 or higher, because something that is, let's say, lower than that, you run into the risk of commissions and spread eating into your profits. Usually spread and commissions isn't that big of a deal, but it really can eat into your profits, especially if, let's say, it's reducing your winning trades by a lot. Let's say it's cutting, it likely won't cut that much. Like even if it cuts like almost half of your trades by almost half, you still end up slightly green, right? Or very slightly green. But you can see how it's still affecting your P&L, and you don't want to be trading a strategy that barely grows your equity curve. You want something that grows your equity curve at a compounding rate that's very good, because in my opinion, commissions and spread is not a main issue when it comes to trading live versus demo. It's definitely a thing you should consider, but it's not the main issue. The main issue is your emotions and psychology when you're trading live versus demo. Demo, you don't care about losing money, losing trades. You're fine with taking a loss and walking away from the charts after you take a loss. When we're live trading, many times a lot of people, what they do is they revenge trade or do other things emotionally that make them take 5, sometimes even 10 trades. If that sounds like you, then this video is perfect for you, because that's how a lot of people are. They take 5 or 10 trades or even more than that just to try to recoup their losses. And what ultimately ends up happening is they bring down their win rate to a substantially low number where it's just not even profitable anymore, right? Trading live. So it's basically skews them away from the real profitability of their system, and you don't want something to be like that. That should never be the case for you. And so that's why, again, I recommend trade something that's profitable and gives you enough wiggle room to make mistakes. So like something, for example, let's say at an 80% at 1-to-1, it gives you above 40, which is, or above 0.40, which is good enough wiggle room to make emotional mistakes, right? Something at 70% 1-to-1, you still have wiggle room, but it's not a lot. And 60 at 1-to-1, you don't really need to question that. I would never recommend anyone trading a strategy back tested with a 60 at 1-to-1, not due to spread commissions, but mainly due to emotions and psychology mistakes, right? Even if you had executed perfectly, you'd be around break even after spreads and commissions if that reduces by 25%, depending on if you're trading micros and minis as well as many other factors. And different brokers also have different commission rates, right? And spreads. So it could realistically cut up to 25% of your P&L. And if it does, that's basically going from profit to break even. So just keep that in mind next time when you're trading. And let's just go back to the point of this video, which was talking about the private trading journal here. So private trading journal here is made, I built this so that you guys can focus on having green days following your trading plan and system rather than just looking strictly at P&L. Because I promise you, if you have a strategy that's back tested, that's very profitable over 0.40 or around 0.40 expected value, you will, I almost guarantee this. I can't obviously say guarantee, but I will almost say for certain, or very high, let's say there's a very high chance that if you end majority of your days green on this calendar, you will more than likely end your month green on your P&L. Because what that means is you're executing your back tested strategy results properly in the live market. You're not alleviating from what you back tested in terms of strategy. You're executing it properly. Part of a trader is technical analysis. That's correct. The other part is execution. So keep that in mind. Two things make up a trader: technical analysis, and another thing is execution. And psychology is the execution part. Discipline is the execution part. Not hesitating is the execution part. FOMOing is part of execution as well, right? There's so many execution mistakes that people make and they don't even realize because they either don't record themselves trading or they don't journal, right? That's the point of this P&L journal or rules calendar journal, whatever you want to call it. And I basically made this so you guys can utilize this to your liking. So you're able to basically keep track of that and truly see whether or not you're a good trader. If you're a good trader, majority of these days will be green. And the most devastating thing is about trading, in terms of from a psychological point of view, is you can have, okay, let's say you have all these days green. You can have like 1 or 2 red days, and despite the rest of your days green, you end the month red. Now that means one of two things: either your strategy does not work, and obviously if your strategy does not work, you should not be using this rules calendar. You should be back testing. Always make sure you're back testing and you have a proven strategy and edge before you even get to something like this. Otherwise, this is useless, right? Because trading with no system that's proven to work historically, how you can expect it to work forward testing or live trading? Especially with your emotions in play as well, it's going to be even worse. But what happens is, even if you have a system that you follow 89% of days, what happens I see is with some students or traders is they have 1 or 2 red days, right? And they blow the account, either funded, live, whatever. Now live is very rare to blow in 2 days. Majority of people would at some point take a step back, but for sure funded or challenge accounts, very easy to blow 1 or 2 single days, just because you know it's fake money that you essentially, it's not you risking that amount per se, right? You're just risking the activation fee or the challenge fee. So majority of times people trading fund accounts, prop firms, they blow the account in 1 or 2 days despite having 8 or 9 or 10 green days in a row following their rules, right? I don't just mean green or red days in terms of P&L, but also following your rules, right? Because likely what happens is you'll see on your P&L, you have a P&L calendar and then you have a rules calendar. And what you do is you put them side by side, right? And you'll see most often than not that your green days on your rules calendar will likely align with the green days on your P&L calendar. Meaning those days, let's say you followed your rules on February 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, right? On your P&L, it will likely be green on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Now, this is not guaranteed, obviously, just because everyone has different trading stats. The better trading stats, the more likely this will happen statistically and objectively, as well as, of course, other factors like how many trades you really took. If you only took 1 trade out of 5 days, then it's very likely you could be red, right? Or if you only took like, I don't know, of just a few trades, your sample size is not big enough for your data or strategy to play out in the long run, and therefore its potential to be different. But if you're taking a pretty big sample size, let's say you're taking 3 trades per day on each of these days, it's very, very likely you have a 90% chance essentially with a good strategy, if you followed your system and plan, that these days will all be green on your P&L. And what happens on these 2 days, a lot of people, they tilt, they reverse trade, and they dig a huge hole here that removes all these losses or all these profits plus more, and they go red, or they just blow the account, right? So definitely something you want to keep in mind is emotions can be an account killer if you're not careful looking over them and managing them, and that's why it's so important to have something like this, a rules calendar. And basically what I did is I just, you can even look up a YouTube video if you want to make your own rules calendar, but I do have this rules calendar on my WAP, I believe, not on my direct website. If you go to centraltradersuniversity.com and then you click on like a product, for example, it'll take you to the purchase landing page, which is my WAP website. And on the WAP, you should scroll down and you should see something like rules calendar, and you feel free to get it there if you guys are interested. Very easy to get, and you basically get a link to where you can just basically go to file and then click make a copy, and you have your own copy of this where you can just freely edit and do whatever you want. Let's go over first off the things I'm mentioning. Okay, a true trader masters both strategy and flawless execution. That is 100% facts, right? You need to know your technical analysis, and you need to know how to execute properly. If you're not executing properly, you're not executing your edge. If you're not executing your edge statistically, you're just gambling. B, a flawless execution isn't about removing emotions, because we're all human, but rather it's about making sure that when you have these emotions, that they never control your next action. So for example, let's say you feel FOMO because you missed a trade. Well, as long as you don't allow that emotion to make you click the buy or sell button, it's completely fine. You can have that emotion, just don't act upon it, which is what a lot of people do. They don't double think and they act upon it. So that's the problem, right? Force yourself to just not click the buy or sell button and just wait patiently for your next setup. After validifying a true edge, the only reason traders fail in live trading is psychology. That is complete facts. Obviously, they're spreading commissions that I already taught you guys about, but that's not going to be a major factor, okay? Like I mentioned. After validifying a true edge, preferably above 0.40 EV or 0.40 EV, the only reason traders fail in live trading is psychology. You need to have already made sure that your strategy is also robust enough, right? It should be really good to the point where within at least a year of data, it's maintaining consistency from month to month, meaning you don't have red months all over the place on your calendar for a whole year. Rather, each month should almost end green. Unless you are swing trading or position trading. That's completely different. I don't teach position trading, which is basically holding long-term equity in stocks and stuff. I don't teach that, but I teach day trading, swing trading, and scalping. So if you're doing any of those three, preferably each of all your months should end green, right? For swing trading, it might differ. If you're only taking like 3 trades a month, then that's not enough sample size, right, to let your edge play out. But if you're taking like at least 10 to 20 trades a month, preferably your edge should play out by then, by the 20 trades mark per month. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you end the month red and this calendar is mostly green, it means likely your strategy does not work and you need to go back to the drawing board with your strategy and backtesting. That is facts, okay? If you end the month red and this calendar is mostly red, likely your psychology or discipline is your issue, right? If you end the month red and the calendar is mostly red, likely your discipline is the issue. And this is assuming that your strategy is already proven to work. So if your strategy already works and you're not following your rules or strategy, you're likely to end the month red. So if you end the month red and you're not following your rules as well, even though you have a right strategy, you just know at the end of the day, the only other factor is psychology and discipline affecting your trading, and that's what you need to lock in on. There's no need for you to learn anything else from a technical perspective, unless you want to improve your expected value, of course, or learn a better strategy. That's always an option, because what that does is when you learn a better strategy, it gives you a lot of wiggle room to make more emotional and psychological mistakes. Like I mentioned, the higher the EV value, the more profit you're making per trade on average, and therefore you have more wiggle room to play around with your profits in terms of revenge trading, tilting, all these things. The goal is to end the month green and have the calendar mostly, if not all, green. This is a sign of a real trader. I'll keep these notes on here on the P&L or rules calendar just for you guys to look at and remind yourself each and every single day when you're looking at this. Feel free to, edit these when you make your own copy. I do not care what you do with this, but point is, have something up here that helps remind you to follow your rules, and that if you follow your rules with the profitable system, that you will basically end most months green, if not all. And lastly, remember, aside from spread and commissions, like I mentioned, the only other thing that would cause the difference between backtested results versus live trading results is your psychology, which is your ability to execute trades with little to no flaws. And that the top 1% of traders don't just have a very good edge, but also have an extremely disciplined mindset and psychology. And to become a full-time trader, you must have high EQ, which stands for basically emotional intelligence, right? High IQ, sure, to learn things fast, right? If you have a high IQ, you're able to pick up and grasp complicated things quickly, which is very good, right? That's very good for everyone. But you need to have that high EQ to help you execute based on your IQ, based on what you know, based on what you learn. If you don't, there's gonna be a huge problem, because despite knowing everything, you're not executing it properly. Therefore, your P&L is not showing that you know everything. So that's something you definitely need to keep in mind, that again, if you want to be the top 1% of traders, or even the top 10%, because 90% fail, 10% are profitable long-term consistently, you need to have high EQ. That's why it's very important to refine your skills on a chart, yes, from technical analysis perspective, but also psychology. And you guys know on this channel, I mainly talk about technical analysis because obviously that's something you can really learn from another person, right? But psychology is something that's a lot harder to learn from someone else. I can tell you all this, but it's ultimately you at the end of the day clicking buy or sell. So I can't sit there and be like your boss. And a lot of times in trading, a lot of people wish they had a boss, because if you had a boss or a manager when you're trading actively, you could probably imagine how far you would have already made, how many payouts, how many 6-7 figure payouts you probably would have gotten by now if you already had a proven strategy that works and you had a boss behind you sitting to making sure that you follow that strategy or system. You could probably see and understand the difference between where you are now and where you potentially can be. And the crazy thing that a lot of people don't realize about trading, to go from basically unprofitable to break even, or to break even to profitable, is if you have a proven strategy system that you learn. You can either learn from me, learn from someone else. I don't mind where you learn, as long as it's someone incredible and reputable with a good expected value system like mine, then feel free. Because if you have that knowledge, all it takes is one day. All it takes is one day waking up saying that you follow your rules and follow your trading plan to consistently make a ton of money and milk these markets. That's all it takes. It's one day, and from that day on, you just snowball effect all those good habits of discipline on and off the charts, and that's how you build up a very good track record for yourself. All it takes is one day. Learning takes several days, but psychology could, in fact, take one day. If you just start being very hard on yourself from a psychological perspective, it could really well take just one day. That's why some people take so many years, some people take months. It all varies, right? The thing that takes a long time could be either psychology, which is your EQ, or IQ, your learning, right? Some people can learn things fast, meaning your strategy. When I talk about learning things fast, I'm purely talking about strategy and technical analysis. Some people have very good analytical skills. They understand the mathematical probabilities and understand how probabilities and statistics work, so they're even better at executing despite being in drawdown, right? So some people, let me just write that down real quick. There's two different types of traders. There's trader A and trader B in a trading journey. Learns high IQ, learns strategy quickly. High EQ, masters psychology quickly. But these guys are opposites, right? Let's say trader A has low EQ and trader B has low IQ. And you could have both, right? You could have both a high IQ and high EQ prior to getting into trading. And if you do, that's amazing. But again, everyone's just different. Human nature, right? Everyone's just different. No matter what this is, this not only applies to every other industry that you get into, but trading especially, because the EQ part is very important for trading. You could say a majority of people have a similar IQ. Actually, in fact, you can even say a majority of people have a similar EQ, but that similar EQ is not good for trading. That similar EQ is very bad for trading. Trading is against human nature. Fear, FOMO, greed, all these things, right? Revenge trading, tilting, not being present in the moment, all these things are part of the average person's EQ, which is not good. It's not what you want to be part of. You want to be part of the high IQ and high EQ groups. So most times what happens is people will have one or the other, and this is what determines a trader's time to profitability. Trader A learns strategy quickly, but takes very long to master their psychology. Therefore, they take 3 years, for instance. Trader B has high EQ, but low IQ. They take a very long time to understand fully how to execute, or not to execute, how to fully understand a strategy, and a strategy that works. So for someone with Trader B, if a strategy is very complex, it might take them much longer to learn that than Trader A, where they can learn it very fast. So a very good strategy tends to have a good amount of moving parts, right? Simplicity is key, but it's only for people that know easy stuff. The more hard stuff that you learn, that later becomes easy, becomes muscle memory. That's the goal of strategy in backtesting. The goal of backtesting is so that you build muscle memory, so that when you're training live, you're not really thinking much, right? When I'm training live, I'm not really thinking about my strategy much. I already know my expected value, my win rate and risk reward average. I already know basically the rough outcome of every single trade. Not in any specific order, just overall, over a long period of time. Therefore, when I'm live trading, all you do is focus on executing properly and sticking to your plan. That's all you need to do when you're live trading. And so this is basically the gist of how there's two different types of traders, mostly for the most part, and why your trading journey might be very different from them. Both high IQ and EQ. This trader would do the best, obviously, would hit profitability fastest. And then these two, it very depends, right? How fast they learn, how slow they learn, how long they take to master their emotions, things like that. So anyway, let's get rid of that right there and continue talking about what were you just talking about, which is basically this P&L counter right here. What you want to do with this P&L counter is once you download it from the WAP, or you can even make your own, right? If you make your own, then you know what you're talking about. But basically what I made here, also it bolds the exact current day you're on. So that way you know which day it is, obviously in terms of date, and you don't have to check your calendar every time for the date. And obviously you can just change this whenever you want. You can check it out and test this out yourself. All these dates are correct because it's using a date formula to match them, and you can see there's that, right? You can match all these. So anyway, from here, what you want to do is, let's say you have a green day following all your rules. What you do is you click fill color and you make it green. Let's say you have a day that's red. You make it red, right? Red means you did not follow your rules, you broke your trading plan. Green means you followed all your rules and you follow your trading plan. And again, most times this aligns with your P&L. You'll be a lot more surprised how often this really aligns with your P&L. Next, what you want to do is click on this. Instead of merge cells, just unclick it and it will disable it. And what you do here on each line, I purposely made 4 lines so that you can write enough notes here. And feel free to adjust obviously the length or the width of this columns if needed to. Executed flawlessly, past X combines, you know, made 2K unfunded, right? You could write these generalized notes for each day. So when you're in your trading journal, you write notes for each of your trades, right? But then when you're on this rules counter, you write things related to your psychology and execution. And I honestly believe when it comes to live trading that the rules counter is much more important than your trade journal in terms of like how much it will help you improve as a trader. Just because you already know from your backtesting data, especially you have 1,000+ trades. I have 4,000+ trades of backtest data. A lot of people don't have that in this industry, so they can't really back up much of their saying with enough validity. But I can, because 4,000 is a big enough sample size to basically, you can basically conclude that strategy will work for a very long time with that, really. So you can see basically you can add notes. Let's say you blew 5 accounts. That's crazy to say, I'm not gonna lie, but people do that, especially if you buy 5 accounts at once and people just blow them all, copy trading them. Made 3 trading execution mistakes, FOMO, greed. Let's just say you hesitated on setups, or maybe you were rushing into trades, or that's not that, impatient, right? All these type of emotions, write them down in here, and then obviously once you're done, you clear them all, you make a second calendar, but you keep them here from month to month, of course, right? January, or this is not January, sorry, this would be February, March, April, May. You keep going, and you basically just have all this journal down so that you know exactly every single day how you did, and you know the exact reason why you got a red day or why you got a green day. So looking back on this, you'd be like, okay, on the 5th, I actually ended my P&L negative 3K. Why? Go to this and you'll know exactly why. If it's red, you know exactly why. You did not follow your strategy or plan. If it's green, then it could just be probabilities, or it likely is just probabilities. If you truly, don't lie to yourself when you're doing this as well. If it's truly based upon probabilities, like if you truly did not make a single execution mistake, then yeah, make your day green. But if you made even 1 or 2 execution mistakes, make your day red. Keep yourself accountable, right? Keep yourself accountable. That's very important. And of course, you could say how many mistakes you made. Maybe you just write 1 mistake made. So then you'll realize I still ended the day green because I only made 1 mistake. And usually that's, if you make 1 mistake, depending obviously on your trade frequency, how many trades you took. If you only took 1 trade, then that could be very. But let's say you take 5 or 6 trades. If you made 1 mistake emotionally, that's fine, as long as you had proper risk management and did not over leverage. But let's say you made 5 mistakes. That's a very big red day in terms of your rules, and you're likely have a red day on your P&L. So anyway, that's basically it for this video. Hope you guys did enjoy this overview of basically how to use the rules calendar, why I think this is more important than personally tracking each trade. If you're trading live, if you're backtesting, use like a journal or something to keep track of trades. But I do believe that in terms of for journaling each individual trade, it builds a good habit to keep yourself accountable. But I think this is even more important just because this is more focused on psychology, while your trade journal is more so focused still on technical aspects. What setup you trade, did you buy or sell? How did you manage that trade? Your risk reward total, win and loss, and other technical things really are what you put in on your journal. And you guys have seen my journal video. I even made a video on my YouTube if you want to check it out, and it talks about my trading journal and basically goes over all my trades and what I really journal inside of my trades. And I do that very in depth in the course and mentorship students as well, so they all see that. So again, if you're made it this far to the video, hopefully you guys did enjoy. This was just a very good video I thought to make about having rules set and why they're so important really to your P&L, and why I do believe this is obviously the better alternative to a trading journal if you know your backtested stats already. If you don't know your backtested stats already, go backtest and then come back to this video. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see y'all in the free Discord server or the course and mentorship.